Okay, did somebody ask for a 30 to 45-minute video about rambling and showing my wrestling collection from when I was younger? No. No. Not a single person on this earth. I think whatever asked for that, but you're gonna get it. So, growing up as a awkward child in Southwest Florida, grew up adjacent to Tampa, St. Pete, Orlando, Fort Myers, where I was raised, but grew up in Southwest Florida. And back then, there's a huge culture. Huge culture was professional wrestling, and TNA Impact had all their shows there, and WWE came in frequently. They recruited from there, and a lot of wrestlers lived there. And there was once upon a time that before I laced up my whispering ASMR shoes, I wanted to lace up my boots and be a professional wrestler, and I loved it. This was probably between the ages of 9 and 15, and I loved it so much. I went to a training school, had some good training partners, and I put myself in the surrounding areas of professional wrestlers, got to meet a lot of them, got to hang out with a lot of them, and I'm gonna do just kind of a ramble video of this huge collection of WWE, WDF, did I just say that? Like WD-40, WWF movies. And I also have a lot of this limited edition kind of Topps trading cards I'm going to go over as well. But mixed in there, I'm going to have a lot of stories of my upbringing, meeting these people, tell you which wrestlers were douchebags. The list is pretty small, honestly. A lot of them are really cool guys. But I don't want you to get this twisted. If you were to show a picture of me to them, tell them my name, they would be like, never heard of her. I mean, I don't want you to think any of these stories are like, oh, he was friends with you. No. But I have some really good stories, interactions with the Hardy brothers, with Samoa Joe, with Christopher Daniels, who is ultimately the reason why I decided to drop out of wrestling school and not pursue it. Christopher Daniels, the angel, fallen angel, that's what he called himself. And I'll tell you some of that stuff. So, this will be fun, because I haven't gone over this, and I said, man, let's do video. Let me chill with the homies. Let me chill with everybody out there. Let's do this. So, I don't know where it is. I had an entire collection of signed stuff, and I had an entire collection of masks, Rey Mysterio mask, a lot of the AAA Lucha Libre guys like LA Park, and a couple of the lesser known guys like El Generico and El Bucanero. I still have them. I don't know where they are. Those are the only things missing. And then I had a lot of autographs. Like, I think my favorite was from Eddie Guerrero, and a couple of those. I have them. Don't know where they are. That's the only thing that's missing. So let's just go. Let's go. Start with events, and then we'll go the cards afterwards. So first one that I have, King of the Ring. And Shane was the Hurricane. See, I know these guys mostly by their names. I don't remember what Shane Helms, I believe. Cool dude, North Carolina boy. Same thing with the Hardy brothers. Anyways, I'm still looking at a picture of him. Cool dude. This is the biggest douchebag that I've ever had run-ins with, and no one has any good things to say about him that I've ever heard, and that's Brock. Brock is just the absolute douchiest bag that you'll ever find. Now, Terry, Hulk Hogan, he lived in Tampa. my sister saw him a lot. I never got to see him, but apparently just the coolest dude that you'd ever want to meet. And I never met or had the ability to meet Taker, but I interact with Glenn Jacobs fairly, I want to say regularly, but yeah, he would be the only one that would know me. I think Glenn Jacobs would be Kane, but I've heard good things about Taker. Anyways, King of the Ring. King of the Ring. I don't even know if they have King of the Rings anymore. This was like, so when I was in it, was like 2002 to like 2010, I want to say. And it was like prime time era, like super awesome to be a WWE fan. The first show that I ever saw was headlined by Mr. Anderson, Ken Anderson, another cool guy, and Umaga, rest his soul. Umaga, I remember being a child going to the Tico Arena down there, terrified of Umaga, like seeing Umaga in person. Eddie Fatu, is it Eddie? And there were the Islander dudes, the coolest people, the coolest humans that you could ever hope to meet. And I have a Samoa Joe story about that. He's the only one I've ever had the ability to interact with. But Eddie Fatu, man, just a cool dude. With the exception of The Rock, I think he's a little high maintenance, but the Islanders, always super cool guy, Yokozuna and all of that. So I just remember being terrified to see Umaga, because he was this larger than life individual that I just so cool. So cool. So here's Vengeance from 2005, and that is Glenn Jacobs in question. Yeah, I was at an event with him a couple of months ago actually, and didn't even know that it was him because he was sitting down. He's a big dude, and he has hair now. So I remember watching the See No Evils, the horror movies with him, and apparently, so one of the guys that I used to work with was actually an aide to him when he started his political career, and I know Glenn Jacobs from surface level, have not hung out with him. I've hung out with people that have, his accountant, his financial advisor, but they're kind of like star blind to him. This guy that worked with him was like, yeah, he's a dick when he wants to be, and then he can be nice but there's a reason why he's in politics now. He can survive, and he can hold his own in that environment. I've never seen that side of him, but I believe it. So this is Vengeance 2005. Adam Copeland, Edge. I heard he's a cool dude. It's cool to see him doing something else, not acting. And Paul Levesque, Triple H, never met him. And HBK, never met him. Obviously, everyone knows he was kind of a douche back in the day, but supposedly he's a cool dude. Batista, I said that there was only one douchebag on my list. He's up there. He's my second douchebag to add. He lived in Tampa and was just rude. Everybody had a rude Dave Batista story. Like, very similar to Brock, I guess. You see these videos. I never met John Cena, but you see these videos of John Cena where people go up and they're like, hey, you can't see me. And he's just like, hey, cool. Like, nice to see you. And they're just like, hey, can I take a picture? And they're like, I'm at lunch, so I'm gonna have to respectfully decline. And like, that's fine. I get that. To me, I can't imagine denying a fan, but I'm obviously will never be John Cena. I can't put myself in those shoes. But the way that he did it was so respectful. The way that Batista and Lesnar do it is just gross. They have this chip on their shoulder that is just kind of repugnant. There was a story that I heard about that someone met Brock when he was in his UFC days. I was like, hey Brock, let me buy your dinner. Staying at the same hotel. Brock's like, okay, cool. And the guy goes, yeah, just have it charged to this room. Brock not only ordered his dinner, the most expensive thing on the menu, everybody that was with him ordered the same thing. It's like $400. And the next day he saw Brock again. He's like, hey Brock, hope you enjoyed your dinner. Can we take a picture together? And Brock's like, no, I don't want to do that. Just left. And I'm like, bro, that's like prime douche. And the story I have of Samoa Joe is actually the exact opposite, the same situation. But yeah, man, it's disappointing. But Dave Bautista's the same thing. He used to go to the mall in Tampa a lot, a great mall that they have there, and used to go walk around and wouldn't talk to anybody, wouldn't look at anybody, wouldn't interact with anybody. And to me, that's just basic, like being human, treating people as you would want to be treated, treating people like people. And he always failed on that. Now here's the thing though, both Batista and Brock were absolutely peeled off the tree, ripped from the vines. They are stuffed to the socks. They are gargled to the gills. They eat trenbolone sandwiches for lunch, and they wash it down with, I don't have a funny word for testosterone, steroids, right? All of that testosterone can do funny things. Dave Bautista had an incredible physique. Would have been a really good bodybuilder if he didn't tat up. It's very difficult to win shows when you're all tatted, but the one thing that I really like about Dave Bautista, he has such a passion and a love for animals. So I don't want to say like Dave Bautista is a douchebag without any good qualities. No, he does. He does have good qualities. He's incredibly arrogant, treated people like garbage. Same thing with Brock. And one of the reasons why that stands out is truly because most of these guys are the sweetest people and the nicest people you'll ever meet. So next, ladder match. One of my absolute favorite type of matches was this, the ladder match. Chris Benoit, if you don't know what happened with that, he murdered his wife and his child and then killed himself. At least this is the theory. And after he did that, WWE basically tried to wipe him off the face of the earth like he never existed. They did not handle it well, but truly a horrendous act that he did. And it's interesting to listen to his friends, and Chavo had a great story on that as well, and going up to it, and the amount of trauma that this guy suffered, head trauma. I mean, his finishing move was giving himself a concussion, and it's just sad. It's just sad overall. But this guy, Matt Hardy, that plot line with Lita, Amy Dumas, I believe is her name. I never met her. She cheating on him with Adam Copeland, Edge, in real life, and then Matt going along with it and turning it into a story. I have to applaud him, but I could never do that in a million years. To have that, I don't know if you want to call it professionalism, and I don't think he worked stiff with Adam either. I think he was very much professional about it. I can never do that now. I did have a chance to spend some time with Matt, and he was just like that in person, just down home, no didn't talk, just sat there and was very pensive. Now this guy, Jeff, his brother, dude was wild, and he sat there for different reasons. You didn't know. In respect to him, he apparently got treatment for this, but this was before he got treatment that I spent time with him. You didn't know if he was stoned out of his mind or drunk out of his mind, but you knew there was one of the two was going on, and dude was down for anything. There was this movie called Yes Man, where the dare was you had to say yes to anything. That's Jeff, and that was how he lived his life, at least back then. Was no matter what you did, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. I was joking, Jeff, but okay. Survivor Series. Used to love Survivor Series. Booker T. I heard he's a good dude. Never got to meet him. There's been a lot of really good dudes that I've gone through. There's Paul White. Never got to meet him either. He tried to, or Big Show, he tried his hand in acting, and there was a show actually. He had his own show, and apparently it absolutely bombed. But I think he's a cool dude. I think he's a good dude, is what I've heard. Randy Orton, I've heard mixed things about him. His work ethic cannot be doubted at all. Professional. But he lost his cool all the time. And I remember that one match on television that was someone botched a move and broke kayfabe and just started yelling, or you're stupid, like stupid. It's just like super unprofessional. And but the man was a perfectionist, had an incredible craft, incredible physique. Everything about him was incredible. Just kind of difficult to work with, I hear. So it is what it is. Never met him. So New Year's Revolution. This is the very first pay-per-view, I believe, that happened, and this was back during Muhammad Hassan. Muhammad Hassan, I don't remember what that guy's name is. Literally the nicest, most down-to-earth guy, and I think he's like Italian or something. I don't even think he's Middle Eastern, and I think he might have been a school teacher, but he got done dirty. So he had his terrorist gimmick, which, you know, they don't exactly give you a choice. You have your gimmicks WWE gives you, and this was during the time that there was like an ISIS terror attack, and it just so happened that they ran a special where they put a hood over someone's head, kidnapped, like did something really bad, and the whatever they were on at the time, USA Network, I think, told them, they said, you either get rid of the guy or we're pulling the plug. And they got rid of the guy, of course. This is when Vince McMahon was human trafficking and all of these other horrible things he was doing. And it's always the smaller guys, you know, that have problems and get treated like garbage. So that was sad. He definitely got done dirty there. And then Gene Snitsky, who I believe that was his name as well. Glenn Jacobs tried to put him over. 7 foot tall dude. Glenn Jacobs tried to put him over hard. Did actually a really good job. A lot of people did a really good job trying to put over Snitsky. Dude was like 6'9". I think he came from a football background and couldn't wrestle his way out of a wet paper bag. It's a little bit like Kali. Just not made for the ring. Not like this guy. This next guy. Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is a douchebag, but he's a fun douchebag, and he knows he's a douchebag, and he plays with it a little bit. RVD is cool, just a pothead. La Resistance was another 2 dudes that were not good at wrestling, and I think one of them was French, the other one wasn't, and I'm talking about the people, not the gimmicks. And I mean, they just did some weird storylines It's like this one is Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. Speaking of, I think he could wrestle. Goldberg, not so much. Versus Test. Sad what happened to Test. And then Goldberg also on this. Chris Jericho, supposedly one of the nicest dudes in the business. Jericho put so many people over. Just from what I hear, was a good guy. Turned into a bit more of a douche, I think, as he got older. But I guess you could earn that right as you got older. I don't know. Bro, okay, here's the thing. I'm not going to speak ill of a legend on this video. Especially one that I never met. But if you want to have your childhood destroyed, go watch a documentary on Steve Austin. The man is the poster child of fame destroying himself and everybody around. He would have these mental breaks, disappear for a long time, was a raging alcoholic, was abusive and neglectful to his wife and his children. His children to this day want nothing to do with him. It's sad. It's really sad. But he chased that fame, was not ready for that fame. And that's what happened. It's really sad. Really sad. But obviously, man had a lot of demons. Another Survivor Series with Snitsky. Kurt Angle. If you ever want to see a man who makes you feel better about yourself, look up Kurt Angle's story. Sister murdered, trainer murdered, everybody in his life was murdered. And the man puts on a smile and goes to work. He's had alcohol addictions, drug addictions, pain pills, but what an inspiration. Incredible. So, JBL, I heard, was an infamous douchebag. Spike Dudley, coolest dude you'll ever meet. Chavo, coolest dude. Billy Kidman, cool dude. Rey Mysterio, I can't remember what Rey's name was. Yeah, he was just, I don't know if he was a stoner, but he acted the part in real life. And it's cool to see him sort of seeing his son to fruition, and continuing that. I always think that that's cool, like the Dustin Rhodes kind of thing. Maven started his own YouTube channel, which is kind of weird because he was always a big douchebag as well. Still is, I think. I don't know if he's been humbled at all by his life circumstances. He went away from the spotlight and became a bouncer, and that's what he did for years, and wouldn't take pictures with people, wouldn't talk about it. And all of a sudden someone messaged him, like, I don't know, I guess some people could find it endearing. I find it kind of like, I don't know, like a little leechy, I don't know. But was like, hey, I want to record you and put it on YouTube because I think we can make a lot of money in views. And he's like, okay. So I'm like, well, shoot, dude, I'll just email every past celebrity that I know and see. I'm being a little negative. I don't mean to be. I apologize. But I'm glad to see him on top. That's for sure. I'm glad to see him kind of turn around, and he's doing some fundraisers and raising money for some occasions and some good things. So I'm glad to see. I really am. I'm glad to see people turn around. I'm glad to see people doing well. I really am. Ric Flair, douchebag, and from what I hear, a huge racist as well. Let's see here. Heidenreich was another guy that was absolute garbage in the ring. And I don't know if he was a nice guy or not, but he worked stiff and he hurt everybody that he worked with. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it for this one. Shelton Benjamin, great wrestler, never lived up to his potential. this incredibly racist thing that he did with the Japanese wrestler, and I don't know if he was told to do this. The funniest thing, man, they tell these guys to go out and be offensive and be a heel and be racist, and then the guys do it and they regret it, and they're just like, I feel awful about that. It's like, yeah, but they told you to go do it. I don't know. I guess you could say, yeah, but if he told you to jump off a cliff, I don't know. Armageddon. Val Venus, man, Val Venus. Mark Jindrak. The Hurricane again, Shane Helms. So Mark Henry, one of the nicest dudes. I swear. You have these people that are just people like Brock Lesnar who have to constantly try to prove to, like, they have little man syndrome, right? They have to constantly tell you and try to prove to you that they're big and bad, and you know that they just inside is just a little boy crying for help, you know. And then you have people like Mark Henry, and Mark Henry is just, he's it, man. Like, you have these people, John Cena is the same way, or at least used to be, where they know what they are. They're big and they're bad, and they don't have to tell you. And when you're in a place where you're not constantly having to tell somebody that you're better than them, you can be nice, right? You can be nice, you can be friendly. Mark Henry, friendly as nicest dude. I wish he would have gone farther in his strongman career, because I think he would have put down some mad records. The man was gifted, so gifted. This is Ronnie Coleman of strongman. He really was. He had so much of a natural gift. Mark's great. Royal Rumble. This was the one that they had the weirdest advertisement for this, where they walked out and they were singing, and they were like, there's gonna be some trouble tonight. A very Royal Rumble. That's right. Like, I still remember it was the worst song that anybody has ever made, and they made them all sing it. But I used to love the Royal Rumble. Used to love it. And Dudley Boys are douchebags, except for Spike. He's a cool dude. And China, unfortunately, sad what happened to her. Cool. Takers. This is my yard. This is kind of a compilation of documentary, but also his favorite or best matches and evolution. The man went through a lot of evolutions through the Undertaker gig. If you ever want to get a laugh, listen to Taker talking about stories of Paul Heyman. It is so funny, his interaction with Paul Heyman. It's Paul Heyman. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Paul Heyman was an actual funeral director before he came over, and those dudes, all a little bit weird. And Taker tells a story of he hates cucumbers. In real life, he hates cucumbers, and Paul Heyman was messing. I don't remember who else was there, but he used to travel with Paul Heyman when he was managing him, and he this was back in the beginning when they were working like 5 shows a week and they were on the road all the time. They stopped at a restaurant, and he went to the bathroom, and Paul Heyman snuck a cucumber in his drink in like the very bottom. And he gets back and he's like, what are y'all snickering at? Oh, nothing. And he finally realizes it, and it's like, okay, who did it? And they didn't tell him. So instead of just killing Paul Heyman right there, he decides to do something else. And they were on the road. He was driving. And Paul Heyman says, hey, I really got to go to the bathroom. He goes, okay. Hey, you missed the exit. Oh, sorry, I missed the exit. Hey, there was another. Oh, so I couldn't get over. And did this to him for like 20 to 30 minutes. And the time that 30 minutes was up, he was already at the venue. And Paul Heyman was a very large guy. I don't think he had full control of his bowels and his bladder. And he was just like, I gotta go. And Taker looked at him and he goes, hey, Paul. And he goes, I told you I don't like cucumbers. And he goes, Paul just looked at him and he goes, oh, damn you. And I guess he urinated himself right there. And they had to walk in to the venue, and there was like reporters and everybody just walked in, and he had urinated himself. But man, Taker's got some stories. That's not my story to tell. That's his. It's all credit to him. So a funny dude, but lots of ribbing for sure. Bad Blood, Orton and Benjamin, Benoit and Kane, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Jonathan Coachman was such a waste of everyone's time, in my opinion. He's doing his thing now with another fight league. Is that Bellator's? I can't remember. PFL, Professional Fight League. I can't remember, but that was such a nothing burger. That was just awful. That was so bad. Okay. Oh, so I don't know if you all have seen this, but they did these DVD series, and they were called Before They Were Stars, and these were the coolest videos, I swear. So this one is Bradshaw, Christian, Stacy Keibler, Edge, Lita, Dudley, Hardy Boys, William Regal. And it's basically like very, very short documentaries, but like the camera crew goes to their town, like interviews their family. It's really good. Really, really good. I don't know if you can find any of those on YouTube or whatnot, but. And then this one was weird. This was HBK, RVD, Lesnar, which was awkward because they had to ask everybody, and they're like, yeah, he's a dick. Like, that's just him. Taz, also kind of a jerk. John Cena is just so funny, though. He's a funny dude. Especially in that one. Next. This is Major Wrestling League, or Major League Wrestling. I don't even know what this is. Major League Wrestling. This is, okay, La Parka and Sabu. La Parka. So La Parka is a luchador. Very large luchador. And they're probably on like their 7th La Parka. So with luchadorians, it's the mask. They never take off their mask, and when they do, it's not like, gotcha. Like, they just blend in because no one even knows that's who they are, because they never take off the mask. And La Parka has a full bodysuit of a skeleton. His face is like the Grim Reaper, with the hood and everything. So luchador. Lucha is fascinating. My very first training partner was down in Southwest Florida. The nicest dude you'll ever meet. I've never met someone who came from lucha background in Mexico that wasn't just so humble and so sweet. And he was one of them. And he went down off the top rope, and I don't remember what it was. It was something that's fairly inconsequential. Just snapped his back, just broke his back coming off the top rope, and that was the end of his career. And he was old and out of shape, but the passion was still there, very apparent. And yeah, I really liked that guy. He was a great guy. So this was headlined by Terry Funk and Steve Corino, but you also had La Parka and Sabu, Masato Tanaka in New Japan. Pro wrestling is very big in Japan. Very different though. Japanese wrestling is very different. It is very much based in culture, and if you are used to lucha, you're going to look at Japanese wrestling, think it's the most boring thing in the world, because they might go down and they might stay down for like 4 minutes and are just like trying to get back up, or they might go in a submission, be there for like 5 minutes. It's very interesting. Raven, CM Punk. This was before CM Punk got to WWE. Homicide. That's a cool dude. Paul London is also a cool dude. They axed Paul for some stupid stuff. This is another one like the Undertaker. This is Triple H. That damn good. So just a compilation of some of like the best moments. Bear in mind, this is all like before YouTube and everything, so you had to get these if you wanted to watch the matches. This is another one, and this is very much a documentary as well. And I liked Ray, man. Back then, he was the only luchador. He was the only luchador in town, so he was obviously very unique. Then they got Psychosis unmasked, which was weird. It's kind of a trend at WWE. They don't like masks. And oh my gosh, Hardy Boys. I remember they had like behind the like when they used to like wrestle on the trampoline and stuff. They had this in the extras. They're interesting dudes, man. I'll tell you, they're interesting dudes. Most of these people are. And I used to love this. I used to go over and do the tribute to the troops. I thought that was really nice. They used to go to Iraq and Afghanistan and put on a show. I just thought that was really cool. And you talk about grateful. You know, they're so grateful when they come back for what they have here, and the troops are so grateful that they come over. It's a super positive, wonderful environment. It really is. Okay. Told you there's a lot. There's a lot. Unforgiven, 2004 Unforgiven, the headliners Randy Orton and Triple H, ladder match with Jericho and Christian. You see a lot of these, man. A lot of these kind of look the same. You have these feuding rivalries, and they just kind of repeat, at least for a while. Oh man, this next one, this aged like fine milk, which is to say it did not age well at all. This is Hard Knocks, the Chris Benoit story, and again, man, sad ending for this guy. I'm pretty sure that WWE has done everything that they can to buy all these copies and try to wipe his name from the record. I do think they started when now they've digitized like all the matches. You go back and watch all the matches and whatnot. I do think they added him back, but it took a while. It was years and years and years that they, and I'm not saying that was right. I'm not saying that was right or that was wrong. That's totally up to, debate. And then we have the Attitude Collection of DLC matches, dominated mostly by the Dudley Boys, and tables, ladders, and chairs, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why they didn't just call it like a hardcore match, but that's what they called it. Next, we get into the John Cena days, and this is when he was having his fights and rivalry with JBL, and this was also when Rey Mysterio was feuding with Eddie Guerrero, and one of the strangest rivalries, where it was like Eddie said that he impregnated Rey's wife, and Dominic was his child. Like, oh my god, like super dark and really disgusting. Like, you saw that storyline, you're like, okay, so really are no lows that they're not willing to stoop to. Really weird, really uncomfortable. Big Show and Carlito. I had one. Carlito is another one they did dirty. He was a guy that would not kiss rear, and that's why they ended up getting rid of him. But a really cool dude. And then I think this is when Chavo Guerrero was going through his Kerwin White, which was really disturbing. He said that he wanted to be a white guy and wore a polo with a sweater tied around his neck. And his catchphrase was, "If it's not white, it's not right." And you're like, what the actual hell is going on here? Like, really interesting stuff coming from those writers. And I don't think Chavo probably looks back on that too proudly. Okay. Compilation disc for The Undertaker. 3 discs. Lots of stuff going back to 91. And Hogan. Hogan, Yokozuna, Diesel, Mankind, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Had a lot of good stuff. Taker had a lot of, he had a full career. And for a big dude, man, he held his own. He did good. Next we have a best of Raw. And this was during the, Attitude Era? Some of the weirdest stuff. This is DX and Mass Kane and Val Venus. Y'all remember Val Venus? The pervert gimmick. I tell you what, the stuff that they used to get away with. And nowadays, like, you say it and you're like, I'm already canceled because I talked about it like it wasn't even me. But I just talked about the stuff they used to do. Yeah, the porn. So he's a porn star. That was the gimmick. He was a porn star. And he used to come out. And the dude himself is a cool dude. He used to come out with, just a Speedo, like the regular trunks. And used to have a towel on, make it look like he just came out of the shower or something. Used to be all oiled up and baby, like, weirdest gimmick. And then Big Daddy V, Viscera, the world's largest love machine, where they put him in body oil and like made him look like a sex machine at 450 pounds. Like Mabel, they tried to put that dude over so hard, but he had these little chicken legs and hurt everybody that he ever worked with. And yeah, you just can't have that. Shawn Michaels. And this is another one of the documentary type. And then his favorite matches. The documentaries on these were always like quite brief. I remember it's mostly about the matches. And luckily YouTube has gotten it to where, it's pretty regular. Like you can, some of these like Taker and Mick Foley went back and watched like their Hell in a Cell and commentated it to get like really cool to see these dudes come together and talk about like historical matches. So I'll talk just briefly about TNA because TNA is what I had my biggest exposure with. So my sister was actually roommates with a girl that used to train at one of the schools there. Knew all the TNA dudes, and she used to bump with them. And so AJ Styles, cool dude, really cool dude. And the one that she used to mess with, and apparently everybody did this too, like prank him, was Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe was, just from what I hear, one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet in your life. And she told the story one time about how she did the same thing that they did, that Brock did, where they were staying at the same hotel, and she charged, it wasn't even that much, like $70, and like Brock charged $500, she like $70. And as a joke, she charged Joe's room instead of hers, believing fully that he would not pay for it, and he would get upset, and they'd be like, prank. And the dude paid it. The dude paid the ticket. And then they just felt like a-holes, because they're like, that's awful. So they went to him, they tried to apologize, and they offered to pay for it. And he's like, no, it's cool. It's cool. And that's like, went on. So I'm like, man. So not only is the dude like humble enough to be like, no, I'll take my licks. Because, I mean, bear in mind, they were making nothing at TNA. They, like, literally nothing. No money. You don't make money as a professional wrestler anyways, unless you're like top. But yeah, just supposedly was one of the coolest dudes. Would put you over, would take the L if it boosted your career. Like, I'm so happy. You get really happy to see certain people succeed, and he's one of them. And but anyways, Christopher Daniels. Right here. This is Heaven Sent Hellbound, the best of Christopher Daniels. This dude was real. And my sister ran into him, and I was a big fan of TNA. I was a big fan of him, a big fan of AJ. And it was my birthday, and my sister's roommate, she knew him, and they all used to hang out at this bar together. And so they were there at the bar, and he walks in, and they're hanging out. My sister goes, hey, I don't know, for some reason they had a picture, that like a TNA poster, I guess they were going around advertising or something. And my sister said, hey, my brother really likes you. He was like, okay, cool. And she goes, yeah, he wants to be a professional wrestler. He goes, oh, really? And instead of just signing this letter for me, he goes on to, I mean, in hindsight, it's like one of the sweetest things I guess anybody's ever done. But he proceeds to write an entire page, like an entire letter of, thank you for your support. This is what it's really like to be a professional wrestler. I want you to know what you're getting into. Think about it. Basically was like, if I had to do it all over again, I never would have picked this. I never in a million years would have done this. So, it was very heartfelt. It was very personal, and it was very exposed. And for just a complete and random stranger, here's this dude. But it was a letter from a dude that had struggled his entire life trying to make money, being a circus sideshow act, wrestling, and knew how much it sucked, certain areas of it. And it took time to write me that, and that's ultimately what made me give up on it, because it didn't come from a place of like, nah, there's no room for you. Like, I'm assuming it's pretty competitive getting into it. Did not come from a place of like, don't even try, because you're never gonna beat me. Or like, it truly was like, listen, I wouldn't choose this life again. So think about it, because I don't think you should either. And that's what did it, man. That's what did it. I don't want to make it sound like I would be headlining WWE right now without Christopher Daniels. I don't want it to sound like that at all. But there's so many other factors, obviously, to getting into professional wrestling. But he saved me a lot of time from trying to. So I owe that man that. Which who knows? Who knows if that's good or bad? Let's change cameras and let's get into unboxing some of these trading cards, shall we? Okay, let's do this thing, man. So I don't remember where I got. Actually, I'll tell you where I think I got these. You remember Toys R Us? I think that's where I got these. So I used to love trading cards. Love. I don't know if this makes good sense. Not really, but there it is. Old Triple H himself, and he is is the first thing we have. Let's just take these cards out. And this rest of the 10 is John, Adam, Paul, Dave. It's a Triple H, and there's the old finisher, the pedigree. And I have these wrapped up here. What does this look like on the back? So it has kind of a little deal here. In recent months, the King of Kings has shifted his focus from gaining an 11th World Championship to making Mr. McMahon's life a living hell. Someone should have. It wasn't hellacious enough. He was out there doing unspeakable things, so they should have tried harder. This is High Chief Peter Maivia, and this is part of their legends. This is a Samoan. Oh, he was all these guys, it seems like, are related to the Samoans. Rocky Johnson, The Rock's father, Yokozuna. I think a lot of people were surprised when they found out that Yokozuna was not Japanese and never trained sumo a day in his life. And I guess Peter Maivia was in James Bond. Didn't know that. Interesting. Jake and Jesse Gemini. I briefly remember these guys. Very briefly. They just called them that because they were just like two stereotypical bald white guys. They're like, yeah, we'll say that they're twins, made in a lab somewhere. That's embarrassing. Okay. Spirit Squad. Speaking of embarrassing, I can't remember when Kenny something. I can't remember what that guy's name. He's the only one that had a career, really. This was an awful gimmick. And again, it's not their fault, right? They're not the ones that write this garbage, most of them. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was so bad. Mikey was the worst, I think. Oh my god, and the Spirit Squad finisher. You talk about the pinnacle of bad writing. Spirit Squad. Dusty Rhodes, the late and great Dusty Rhodes. Now survived by his sons, doing a pretty good job too. Dustin and Goldust. The Wild Samoans, there they are. There they are. Afa and Sika. The Untamed Machines. And then back then they had the managers. Everybody had a manager, so now that's like unheard of. Even when I watched, it was like every now and again you'd have someone that was like a manager, but they kind of shifted it because they were trying to find ways to integrate the divas, and so the managers were like divas that they were trying to do storylines with and couldn't fit anywhere else. Kamala, apparently I have a lot of Kamala. Big Papa. Yeah. Again, another handler, Kimchi. Kimchi? What? Kimchi, as in the Korean side dish. Kimchi. Wow. That's crazy. Kimchi. Wow. Another Triple H. Another Paul Levesque. Vader. Cool dude. Down to earth dude. Him and Earthquake. Super cool dudes. Their size definitely helped them when they were younger, but the heart cannot handle being that large. That's for sure. And yeah, he was as a guest on Boy Meets World. Just a cool dude, cool dude. Kind of like the Tank Abbott of the wrestling world. These dudes were awesome. more so Paul, and I say that just because I have no experience with Brian. But back then, Vince didn't want the little dudes; he wanted the big dudes. So the cruiserweights and the luchadors were non-existent. So Paul got done dirty, and he was too extreme for WWE. The Hulkster, Terry. What can you say about the Hulk that hasn't already been said? Melina, sweet. I met Johnny. What was his last gimmick? It was Johnny Nitro, and then John Morrison. Back when he was teamed up with Melina, and they were probably the nicest people that I've ever met. Both of them. It's just incredibly nice. My father was there, and he was wearing a shirt. It's a spiritual shirt, and I guess she is spiritual as well. And she started talking to him about his shirt and saying how she thought it was great. And I met a lot of WWE, WWF people, and they usually just talk about themselves. So I thought that was cool. And that was at the same time that John Morrison was a Intercontinental Champion. So I got to hold the belt, which was really cool. And man, he was just a cool dude. He was a really cool dude. Still is, I'm sure, but he was on Survivor, and he never really got a break, to be honest. He's never got like his big break. I think he was too nice. Just probably too nice. Maria, she was kind of one that they really tried to push over. I just don't know if it ever really worked. Jillian Hall, I don't even remember her. I don't even remember her. Ashley Navarro. Now this is a sad one. She was on Survivor too, and you could tell this girl just from that show alone that she had some demons, some serious demons. I don't know if she had she did have substance abuse, you should know that, but constantly fighting with depression, and after they excused her from WWE, it got worse, and then she eventually ended up taking her own life. And I guess Mick Foley was trying to work with her. I don't know what that means. I don't know how you work as an individual, how you work with someone on depression. I don't understand that, but I remember she went missing, and he was part of a APB that put it out to the internet saying, hey, you know, that's if you see her, and then of course they find out that she killed herself. So very sad. Tori Wilson, legend. Her and Trish Stratus were they were legends. They were legends in their own right. Victoria, I think she did something. She managed somebody. Let's see. Candace Michelle. The Widow's Peak. Yeah, I remember that. Like vaguely remember. Don't remember it that well. Okay, so this dude, so funny. This guy and Santino Marella, some of the funniest dudes. And every time they went out, they tried to make someone laugh. And that's all like dress thing. Literally, the worst writing in WWE history happened in this era. Gave the man a dress, made him a cross-dresser, but talk about someone who just wanted to be successful and make people laugh, and kind of like the kabuki theater, like Japanese theater, you need kind of like a fool, you know, someone to make people laugh, and he was that guy. So that kind of destroys your career, though. Once you're the guy wearing the dress, you can't really come back from that. Mickie James, the only member of the Spirit Squad that went on to have a good career. it's funny too because they'll have like the gimmicks, and then the gimmicks won't go over, and then they'll change the person and act like the old gimmick never happened. So like Spirit Squad, no, Jen, what are you talking about? Beth Phoenix, I don't know her. Show. Oh, Paul White. Nice guy. Giant. Cool thing is he's got a lot of cameos, and got to work with some cool dudes they brought in, like Akibono, who just recently passed, and did his little like sumo thing, sumo stunt with them. And from what I hear, he's a cool dude. He's a slow to anger and quick to forgive kind of guy, and the world needs more people like that. Again, you see the difference between him and people like Brock. You know, it's when you have it, you don't have to be a jerk and tell everybody that you just, you know, you can be humble. Charlie Haas. The man, Bam Bam Bigelow. Owner of the worst tattoos. Big dude. Big dude. British Bulldog. Another sad story. I believe he also died very young. The dude was on so much drugs. I mean, cocaine was his drug of choice, I believe, if I remember correctly, but performance enhancing, steroids, anabolics as well. And the dude never met a bill he didn't like, which is just sad because he had quite a bit of talent, had a great physique. Davey Boy Smith. So, I think he died pretty young, if I'm not mistaken. Tatanka. Is Tatanka the one that supposedly murdered somebody? I don't remember. Was it him? I don't know. No, it wasn't him. It was who was that? Well, I don't think it was Tatanka. It was the guy that has the frog splash. That's gonna haunt me now. I don't believe it was Tatanka. I'm like 99% sure it was not Tatanka. Tomahawk carry Lakota drive. So Lakota, I didn't know this. I don't think the guy is Native American. They rarely are. Their gimmicks. You can see he has a crazy gynecomastia, which is a side effect of anabolic steroid use. If you don't have good estrogen blockers, your testosterone converts to estrogen, and it gives you breast tissue. So you can see a lot of gynecomastia on him. The Rock has that too, but the only way to get rid of is surgery, which they usually do. Superfly, Snuka, was who I was thinking as the guy that murdered somebody, and then they did what they could to cover it up, but no, Tatanka's cool. Stevie Richards. Good man. Carlito. I spit in the face of people that don't want to be cool. So, the Carlito gimmick actually, I remember watching an interview with him. He had a lot to do with that gimmick, creating that gimmick, and bringing it to life. And he was a great heel, man. People hated this guy. They loved to hate this guy. Love to see him get whooped. And it's a checklist. See if you get them all. It's old Matt. Paul Burchill, which people do not give him enough credit. That pirate gimmick was actually pretty dope. It was actually a pretty cool gimmick. Earthquake. Story about this guy. He was I believe a football player in high school, and decided that he wanted to actually go to Japan and try to sumo wrestle. And he basically went undefeated, like really excelled, did amazing stuff. He has a tattoo. In sumo wrestling, you cannot have tattoos. So he was given the choice to either not wrestle or get it removed. He didn't want to get it removed, so he left. It's also very xenophobic. Probably not as much anymore, but then definitely. But one of the nicest dudes that you'll ever meet. More humble, kind, sweet man. Ravishing Rick Rude, the man with the stash. Another Hulkster. And there's the man right there, Eddie Fatu, Umaga, who I was talking about earlier. Sad, rest in peace. And there's the man I was talking about, John Morrison, Johnny Nitro. Yeah. It's funny, a lot of these guys, just the douchiest characters, are often the dudes that are just the absolute nicest, and he's one of those people, man. Rene Dupree, the French phenom who is neither French nor phenom. Gregory Helms, real name Shane Helms, also known as the Hurricane. The Hurricane gimmick was pretty cool. Gregory Helms was just a dude. Jerry Lawler, the old pervert himself. I say somewhat lovingly. There's another one of those. Shelton Benjamin. Incredible wrestlers, both these guys. Mark Henry and Shelton Benjamin. Both so athletic, so naturally gifted in different ways. Mark was strong as hell. Shelton was a Division I wrestling champion, incredible athlete. And I'm surprised Rick lasted this long next to black people in the deck. William Regal, interesting dude. British wrestlers, definitely a little bit more classier, at least in sort of the portrayal. And then Chris Benoit, and then DX, which is kind of weird because they were not in their DX mode. You'd think they would have done like a throwback or something to when they were actually in DX. Throwback card.